This story is based on alleged accounts without concrete evidence and may be viewed as science fiction. It is presented for entertainment and discussion purposes only, and we do not endorse or support any claims made. Viewers should conduct their own research and form their own opinions. In a previous episode, the author inquired of the Colonel whether it was accurate that a group of reptilian and gray aliens controlled Dulce and had abducted a significant number of humans for their experiments or as a source of sustenance. In response, the Colonel acknowledged that there was some truth to those claims, particularly regarding the abduction of humans and cannibalism. However, he also stated that the extent of these activities had been greatly exaggerated. In this episode, we shall continue their conversation. I personally think that these versions of the story are probably the work of the DSD-3 or AFOC, deliberately making the stories sound bizarre and linking them to reptilians so that conspiracy theorists can easily refute them. Those who spread these stories online have become their boosters. Because the more sensible people are, the less likely they are to believe these exaggerated stories. AFOC is even more shameless, as they can turn all of these UFO sightings into conspiracy theories or the ramblings of lunatics. Do you think linking the Dulce to reptilians is a conspiracy? I don't know if the original story was some kind of satire or pursuit of sensationalism. What makes me angry is that these stories have been distorted in strange directions by some people. The story of the Dulce is a very serious and objective fact. But some people will forcibly associate it with reptilian, Illuminati, or some strange religious realm, which has nothing to do with the truth. The truth is that the U.S. military is constantly trading with Greys to obtain their technology, while the Greys are trying to perpetuate their species by relying on humans. There are no reptilians or strange religions. I have never seen any reptilians in the Dulce, and even if there were, I don't think the Greys would have contact with them. Because from my observations, the Greys are a highly isolated species who do not even trust their own kind, let alone reptilians. I can tell that the Colonel is very emotional about these urban legends, and I decide to change the subject. Colonel, how much do you know about the cattle mutilation incidents? These things were initially allowed by the military to be carried out by the Greys. But the military would collect the remains of the cows to confirm how the neat wounds were made. In addition, the technology that allows flying saucers to take animals away through gravitational waves has driven the U.S. military crazy, and they urgently want to obtain this technology. Most of the U.S. stealth fighter jets now use some form of Grey's flying saucer material technology, which is one of their harvests. When the Greys kidnap cows, the military sends people to monitor them. They watch how they select cows, and how they use their flying saucers to suck them up, and then throw the bodies out. Once they leave, the military immediately enters the scene. I have participated in one on-site investigation where there was a strong odor of chemical agents that almost made people pass out. This odor keeps all animals away, and animals that do not have time to escape will be poisoned on the spot. They are primarily interested in specific organs of animals, which are cut open neatly with lasers. Usually, they are glandular organs or reproductive organs. And there is no blood left at the scene. I don't know how they achieve such precision. As the influence of the dark matter deepens, the Greys have become less interested in abducting cows, and instead, the military has started to abduct animals, and even humans. By 1992, the military had already mastered the technology of gravitational waves, and was eager to use it to abduct humans. According to my intelligence, the Greys are now personally involved in fewer abductions than before, because the military is doing these dirty deeds themselves. I have heard that they abducted 50 people within a month. And the fate of these people is self-evident. It's no better than being a lab rat. This is why I must reveal the truth no matter what. When talking about the abduction of humans, the colonel becomes emotional again, and I have to change the subject again. Sure, I can describe the interior structure of the facility for you. The so-called 7-layer structure found online is apparently inaccurate. The first level of the facility is comprised of 4 areas. The first area is a large garage used to store the Humvee multipurpose trucks I mentioned earlier. Adjacent to this area is a warehouse hangar that is very large and mostly empty, featuring a set of hangar bay doors that are approximately 60 feet wide and 30 feet high. The only equipment in the hangar are 6 armed helicopters. 2 AAH-1G Huey Cobras, 2 A-1 Iroquois, and 2 Sioux Scouts. These helicopters are used for regular patrols, and residents near the area often report seeing them. According to my sources, in recent years the Hueys have been replaced with AH-64D Apache longbows, and the Iroquois and Sioux Scouts have been replaced with unmanned aerial vehicles. Next is the area where the Greys live, which I mentioned to you before. Their living quarters require specially designed corridors that are high in temperature, high in humidity, and low in illumination, in order to accommodate the Greys' living habits. Following that is the human activity area, which includes the command center and the headquarters of DSD-3, as well as a visitor processing center, all of which are offices. There are 2 dedicated elevators on level 1 that descend to the maglev train transportation hub on level 3. The room layout on level 2 is similar to level 1, but it mainly provides residences for those living in the facility at Dulce. Additionally, the core database is stored on level 2 for both Echo and the command center. There are also many scientific laboratories primarily used by contractor employees. The human cafeteria is also located on level 2, featuring a self-service restaurant, coffee bar, salad bar, and no discernible difference from the outside cafeteria. There is also a small convenience store that provides basic daily necessities. In addition, there is a medical room for treating injuries caused by accidents or stress. There is a gymnasium with a swimming pool and even a steam room. These facilities are designed to help appease those who work in the cave for long periods of time, ensuring their physical and mental health is maintained. Level 3 is the most mysterious level of the entire Dulce facility. There is a corridor called the Maximum Containment Corridor, MCC, also known as the Nightmare Corridor, where the facility regularly incinerates byproducts of genetic engineering, biological engineering, and chemical production, including various samples of bacteria and virus, and animal corpses used for experiments. Access to this area requires high-level clearance, and only a few individuals are allowed entry. Inside the MCC is a solid, high-temperature resistant glass-sealed chamber used for the final disposal of large targets. There are also Class 4 biocontainment cabinets used for handling dangerous bacteria and viruses. When the TA-D3 facility at Leandro Canyon was completed, the new Black Biological Genetic Program began, which aimed to create an ultimate warrior by mixing human, gray or human-animal genes. In 1993, this program suffered a major setback when an accident occurred during an experiment, resulting in the deaths of approximately 20 geneticists and biologists, mostly killed by 2 super soldiers who went berserk on the train carrying them back to D1 on level 3. They were mentally unstable and tore the limbs and internal organs from their victims, who were slaughtered and left for dead. These 2 test subjects were later controlled by DSD-3 forces and taken to the MCC for incineration. After this incident, the Dulce facility was shut down again, and all non-military personnel were sent away until it resumed operation 2 weeks later. The question I asked myself upon hearing this news was, what is the point of these super soldiers? There are many excellent soldiers in our country, such as the Navy SEALs, Green Berets, TACP, and Cavalry Scouts, so why develop these non-human killing machines? Who are they meant to fight against? According to my sources, due to the infiltration of human, dark elements, the experimental direction within the Dulce facility has shifted toward humans, and seemingly insane experiments are becoming more accepted. On level 3, there are 2 specialized areas used for interacting with grays below level 4, known as XFER1 and XFER2. There are also several specialized conference rooms, a low-temperature laboratory, and the DSD-3 data center. There is also a specialized prison for detaining grays who have defected from the lower levels. They are interrogated and confirmed to pose no threat to humans before being sent to the living area on level 1. The maglev train you mentioned earlier is a part of the facility's transportation hub located on level 3. The station is far away from the MCC and XFER areas, so there is no risk of the contractors discovering any secrets. The station is always clean and tidy, and all personnel with access to level 3 are allowed to use it since it is not a classified area. The transportation hub operates 24/7, and the busiest times are the 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. rush hours. There are a total of 6 maglev train lines in operation. Initially, the company that signed the contract with the DOE was Bechtel, and they were responsible for building the railway. Later, when maglev technology was introduced, General Dynamics Corporation took over the operations and signed the contract with the DOE. According to my sources, the 6 lines currently in operation are A1 line, running between LANL's TA-3 area, A2 line, running between Kirtland Air Force Base and Cannon Air Force Base, A3 line, running between White Sands and Holloman Air Force Base, B1 line, running to Area 51, Groom Lake, C1 line, running to the China Lake Naval Weapons Center. C2 line, running to Edwards Air Force Base. Edwards is the hub of the entire underground maglev network, connecting major underground facilities in the southern, southeastern, midwestern, and eastern regions of the country, with the most important connection being to the Naval Base San Diego. Colonel, have you heard of the story of Thomas Edwin Costello? What is your opinion of this person? Yes, I have read about it online. Unfortunately, the story is not true, and the person named Costello does not exist. He claimed to be a security guard who had worked at the Area 51 facility before 1979, but I have gone through all the personnel files, including those of DSD-3, command staff, and various contractor employees. Therefore, I know that Phil Schneider is real, but this person named Costello is not. To confirm his identity, I even sent FBI agents to investigate, including his family, wife, and son, but they all turned out to be non-existent. I searched for this name in the National Archives, Social Security Administration's database, and even the military personnel database, but found nothing. What is more peculiar is that I did locate a person named Thomas E. Costello in Roswell, who is an amateur radio operator. At first, I thought I had found the real person, but his age does not match the one on the internet, and there is no evidence to prove that he has ever been to Area 51. I suspect that the person who made up the story borrowed his name. I also found some people named Thomas Costello in Glen Ellyn and Wheaton, Illinois, but either their middle names were different or their ages did not match. Therefore, the Costello in the story does not exist in reality, or at least I cannot find him. Wow, this may make many people who believe in Area 51 feel uneasy because they think Costello and his story are real. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you that he is real because I have not found any evidence. It's like the Astra aliens. If you ask me whether they are members of the Illuminati, I can only tell you that I don't know because I have no evidence. What I can tell you is only what I know. Regarding the Astra aliens, you mentioned that they wanted to eliminate the Greys. Why? According to the Greys' records, after their failed rebellion against the Astra aliens, they were forced to live underground. The Astra aliens told the Greys that this environment was suitable for their survival, where they could breed and not conflict with the Astra aliens on the surface. At that time, there were plenty of flora and fauna in North America, as well as primitive humans, and the Greys could find food there and undergo genetic modification to enhance their adaptability to the environment. There were also many mineral resources in the underground that could provide energy for the Greys. Please forgive me for interrupting, but what is the energy technology of the Greys? I don't know. This is a mystery. They refuse to disclose the technical details to us. And for the military, small nuclear devices are sufficient to maintain the operation of the facility, so they did not pay much attention to this technology. Okay, please continue. However, the Greys later discovered that this was an attempt at genocide, because they found that some of their genetic defects were irreparable and could not be compensated for by human or animal genes. Moreover, due to the rapid development of surface humans, the Greys could no longer return to the surface. We'll be continuing this conversation in the next episode, so stay tuned for more.